Alright, you guys want a treat? Huh? You ready for a treat? Good boy. Good boy. Hey, hey. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Yeah, okay.
you go. Lift it up with that hand. And then cut. There you go.
I'm going the other side. Okay.
Those are beautiful.
Yep.
Much
They don't
better
even
than
have to be
stairs.
finished. They
Yeah,
just need to be polished.
yeah. Isabel, you need to go put shoes on when you're done, okay? In case you step on a nail. Do you want to go grab your shoes?
Nah, I want you to.
Oh.
You can. Alright. In here yet?
Not yet. Ugh. Oh, I got it. Yes.
Yay!
There, now just grab it this way. Chuck it through the window.
Look, you love my dress?
I love it.
What a night, people dancing in slow motion, blurry eyes. But I've had enough, it's time to say goodbye. 3 a.m. as I'm walking home with a smile. Smoky moon, like a shiver, all the shadows fade away. All your streets are empty, lights begin to sway. 4 a.m. as I think, oh, Stockholm love. Sometimes I picture how life had been in Paris or New York or Shanghai. But you know what they say, east or west, our home is best. Warming rays, golden sunlight as the city wakes. Oh, my love for you will never fade away. 5 a.m. as I sing, oh, Stockholm love. Stockholm love.
was Felicity.